Hello, and welcome everybody to 710 Sesh. Thanks to Kim Cooper for the time and the space on her channel. And I am Tracy Lamourie, your host, Saturday night host for 710 Sesh. For those of you just tuning in, Kim Cooper had this brilliant idea of 710 Sesh way back when she thought this COVID lockdown thing was going to be for a month to keep the community together. It's been going on. She just had Sacha, her 1 year anniversary of
Yeah.
So,
Awesome.
I'm here today, make good things out of crazy things. So I'm here today with Sacha from HEMPFEST Canada. So those of you who know HEMPFEST Canada, which in what was it, 2018, you were all over Hamilton, Calgary, all kinds of places. Sacha is the heart of it, really, as far as I know, the brains behind a lot of it. He pushes a lot of it, makes a lot of it happen. They've been doing that right through COVID. And in addition to HempFest, they have a couple of other really important events coming up, one aimed at growers and one aimed at quality control. So we're going to talk about all those things. But Sacha, first give us a little bit of introduction to just who you are and how you got in the cannabis space, and then a little bit about HempFest Canada.
Got in the cannabis space back in, it was either 2015 or 2016. I can't remember when the actual event started, but it was in 2015 that we were like, we're going to get in the cannabis industry. And we already had an event company, so we did bike shows and we did athletic cycling events as well. And so once we knew that cannabis was going to become legal, we were like, okay, we got to get on this. So we started before legalization in Calgary and Edmonton, and that was before legalization. It was just, the industry was so fun. It was so fresh and new, and no authorities showed up or anything like that. You could kind of get away with.
Yeah, we were like, you were building it as you went along, right?
Yeah. As soon as legalization hit, the events changed for sure, and the industry changed a lot as well.
In terms of advertising and marketing and what we all of a sudden we couldn't do and all that kind of stuff as well, right?
Yeah.
And then there's COVID. So tell us about, I guess next, tell us about the upcoming shows, because there's two coming up like right now in the spring, and this is something that a lot of community members might be interested in, particularly the first one, which is grow centered, and then the second one, all of us really should be interested to hear about what's going on because it's quality control centric, right? So tell us about those.
So the first one's the Growing Summit, and that's coming up. That's the Growing Summit, or growingsummit.com. That's coming up April 26, 27, 28. And that's focused mainly on, so the content was created by a micro grower association here in Canada. So all the content is created for master growers, people that are interested in getting into the industry, even people that grow at home that want to know a bit more about growing. Like there's so much there that's gonna so much information that's coming out there, and then really great networking. We work on a platform called MindSue, and that platform has, you can connect with other people while you're at the summit. So you can click on their virtual business card, and you can have like a face-to-face talk.
So you can do like a networking, basically a networking.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And
that actually works really well. I was involved with something like that stateside. There's a marketing conference, and I'm in PR, not marketing, so normally I would not have gone to it, but online, and they made some parts of it available and open for free, so I was clicking in and checking, and they did something like that. They had, and it actually really worked. People are really hugely buying into that, right? You click on in that little lounge room, and then all of a sudden there was that connection. So yeah, that's a really valuable, that actually is a really valuable thing right now. It works. Right? So,
yeah.
Hi to Ginger saying hi. Hi to Ron. Hi everybody. Steve, hi, evening from Scotland. Hello. And it's getting,
cool.
What is it, midnight in Scotland now, or almost midnight?
That's where I was born, in Scotland.
Oh, really? Yeah, there you go. You got an old home guy right there.
Yeah.
Kimberly, Peace Train, Bernadette, and Kimberly. So so again, so what is it again? It's Growing Summit, growsummit.ca.
Growing Summit, growingsummit.com. And Some really cool stuff that is hitting the industry right now, and something that will probably affect all growers across Canada is the Hop Latent Virus. So there's a virus that is kind of transferred from hops into cannabis, and what it's doing to the cannabis plant is it's not killing the plant, but it's reducing your cannabinoid production by like 50% in some cases.
Oh, wow.
Or more. And the way it's transferring from plant to plant is either through cloning or mothers or like unclean shears and stuff like that, right? So it's moving through the nation, basically.
Interesting.
So we have a spotlight on that for sure.
And they're
we have
talking
a
about
spotlight on that at both summits
and they're talking about how to deal with that, or just what to watch for, and how
to watch for, how to deal with it, how to test for it, all those kind of things.
Wow, that's new.
Yeah, so you don't have it go across your whole greenhouse or wherever you're growing, right?
Yeah, Kimberly's saying, "Wow, not good." Yeah.
Yeah.
Steve, by the way, is saying where in Scotland?
Where Aberdeen.
Aberdeen. Can you say it with a Scottish accent?
Yeah, I was very young when I moved away.
Aberdeen.
Yeah.
I can't do a Scottish accent, but so that I hadn't heard about that, but I guess probably growers, I don't know if that's something that home growers are aware of right now, or if that's more in the industry people are talking about it.
The industry is talking about it a lot. And a lot of, I kind of caught wind of it through some of the labs that we work with, and they work in the hop industry as well as the cannabis industry. So yeah, and we have somebody from the hop industry that's going to be talking about that. So he'll give us more background on what they've learned from hops and how to combat this this virus. And it's also, it reduces the trichome production as well.
Oh, wow. So is this something home growers would be concerned about as well? Like, I guess once it gets into the atmosphere, it's like a male plant with female.
It might be, depending on where you're getting your clones or clippings or anything like that. It might you might already have this issue, right?
Wow.
And yeah, it's just reducing the plant's production.
So how do people get involved, individuals? I know companies, I know we were talking before we went to air that right now there's a deal where any companies can, for $5.99, they can have their whole staff take part.
So if a company wants to purchase a pass, so the regular passes are on sale for $149 right now. But if you're a company, you can purchase a pass for both summits for $5.99, and it gets you access to your whole company. So you get
and then if you're an individual that wants to hear more about this kind of stuff, is it what, $149 per summit, $149 for the Grow Summit, for example, right? Which would be the one probably the most of interest.
And then there's a discount if you buy two. So there's an option to buy two summits as well.
So tell us about the second summit.
The other one is called the C45 Summit. So C45Summit.com. And that one is based with the C45 Quality Association. And what that association is it's the association that brings together all the quality assurance people of the industry. So all the QAPs are getting together and talking about how do they improve quality and all those kind of things. It's more focused on, that one's quite industry focused. So
yeah, I was going to say that one will be more for the business people.
Yeah,
right? To understand their quality process and what's new in the industry. But but it's certainly interesting to know those conversations are going on, as consumers. But but the first one is actually something, especially now that you mentioned this, that makes me feel like it's not necessarily just specialized for someone who's super interested in growing, but that it's something that actually the home, the casual home grower should probably know about too.
I think so, yeah.
When you were talking about, I had never heard about that, and I'm pretty immersed in the industry and canna people, and I'm sure, I don't know if some of the people listening know about it, but I had never heard that discussed. So
it's
guys,
it's pretty fresh in the market for sure.
So guys, you heard it here first. If you
Yeah.
heard it here first, and and they have all kinds of information like this at the Growing Summit. So this is more, and it's 1 month from now, pretty much, right? 1 month from today, it's going to be live. It's going to be on a month from now.
At both summits, we touch on regulations. So something else that the C45 Association is doing is creating white papers for when we go to October and the legislation and stuff like that is changing again. So the association is working on what do we need to change in regulations? Why do we need to change these things? And a lot of that is, I mean, we all know when the regulations came out, they're treating cannabis like liquor.
Yeah, exactly.
Cannabis is a fresh product. You can't just
it doesn't fit into exactly.
Months,
oh
right?
Yeah, exactly. That's another thing we complain about a lot. It's like the product just exactly. Just what do consumers expect from the product that they get. And what how they're not how are we making the mark or missing the mark there. So
because some companies
sorry guys, happy 710.
Really
they're saying happy 710 everybody, so happy 710.
Happy 710.
West Coast, East Coast 710.
I don't have anything rolled.
No,
right
that's
now.
okay. That was me last week.
I
Guys,
should be
remember
rolling
the tooth?
something right now.
I actually have this. Somebody gifted me with one of these pens, and I think it's a Legacy Market pen. But I also have the OCS store pen. So I got both. I got Legacy and OCS here. Both gifted to me. If you gift me cannabis, I will smoke it. Whereas last week I had no cannabis, no guests, and then no internet.
It
was a great show.
I apologize. I am so sorry about that.
Don't be silly. We're not saying it for that reason.
It was my bad, though.
No, but Kim Cooper jumped in.
Out.
And then I had no internet, so it was just as well, because Kim Cooper she just was like, oh, well, whatever. I guess we have no host and no guest, but we have Kim.
Yeah. I was having one of those Saturdays last week where I was having such a great day off. I was like, I have a day off. This is amazing.
And I had actually posted, because I've been doing all these international business podcasts and blah, blah. I had actually posted, oh my God, last week, for the first time in 35 days, I do not have a podcast scheduled. And I had totally forgot about 710 Sash, because it's more casual and it's community and, But I was like, oh, except for 710 Sash. I do have that. And I'm not, again, I had the dental pain and I wasn't smoking. And I was just not as happy. But so tell us about HEMPFEST. We know everything's up in the air right now in terms of consumer events and all that, but it might be back in the fall. And if things are happening, you guys have some plans for the HEMPFEST, which is a consumer event, right? So talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so we have Calgary scheduled for early September. And we're waiting till May to kind of start planning that. So we'll see what's happening in May and see if things
see where like everybody
and those
where
kind of
things are going.
And that event, we have an indoor-outdoor venue, so that's another win. So hopefully we can have bigger numbers because we'll have that outdoor and indoor venue, and we can kind of use
control how many people come in and out and stuff.
And then another great thing about that event is we have from the venue in the city. So it's held at Canada Olympic Park.
Nice.
And the venue and the city have approved cannabis consumption. So as soon as you walk in the gates, you can light a joint.
Very cool. So let's hope that happens. So when would that be again?
That's September 10, 11 this year.
September 10, 11. Yeah. Okay, guys. So Calgary, let's hope things are open. And if things are open, we'll all get on a plane and go to Calgary and
hopefully
enjoy HEMPFEST and oh my gosh, let's hope that comes back. So and thank you so much. I mean, for keeping it all going through it all. How has that been? How has that been to kind of transition from in-person events to online events?
When it happened, it was really hard. Now that it's all over, it wasn't so bad, I guess.
All those 25-hour days.
I'll be happy when we get back to in-person events. I know that they're going to be a little different, and I know that we're always going to have some kind of virtual event attached to our events now. But I'll definitely be happy when we're back.
Yeah, I think people are going to be clamoring to get back to in-person events, and you know, but it's true. There will be, I guess, probably virtual components for everything as well. But I think there'll be even just business perspective. People will be all zoomed out, so zoomed out that we'll be happy to meet for drinks again, face to face.
Exactly. Yeah.
Or joints in our industry.
Our first business summit we're planning. We've been talking about it. We're just gonna throw an industry party essentially.
There you go. I'm there. Yeah. I will fly wherever it is. I don't care.
Yeah, the content. There's not going to be a lot of content. It'll just be networking.
Yeah, it'll just be like people. The content, the agenda. You will see people.
Yeah,
humans in the same room.
Good band or two. Yeah, that's the plan.
You know what's funny? That my last party, my life was like VIP parties and events, not just in cannabis, but in all kinds of industries, before all this hit. And my last party was like bucket list, was in Kingston in February of 2020.
Oh yeah.
But like literally 2 weeks before, like right before we stopped thinking, like it was right before we were thinking like COVID was somewhere else. People were still passing joints. And I was at the Leafy party and Tommy Chong was the special guest. And he passed me the joint and I never fangirl. I was just doing my PR thing. But I was like, you know what? But I kept the friggin' roach. And I kept the roach and I framed it, And so I actually have the roach this big because I just ended up with it. I'm like, well, it's the buck stops here. I'm keeping this one, right? And so my last party pre-COVID was like in February with bucket list, Tommy Chong, smoking a joint with Tommy Chong, and we may never smoke a joint with people again. Who knows? In terms of like passing the joint, So my last experience in public, like passing a joint with strangers, was when Tommy Chong passed me it. So I'm like, all right, if that's got to be the end of the passing, and from here on we smoke our own joints, you know, at least I get to smoke with Tommy Chong. So
that's good.
So we're 3 minutes to 4:20 on your coast. No, where are you? You're in Calgary. So you're at.
I'm in Banff, Alberta. So
okay, so you're not. You're at like in between. Yeah, you're Mountain Time. Yeah. So we are 3 minutes to 4:20. So for everybody.
Oh yeah, I'm 5:20 soon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's 4:20 somewhere. So
always 4:20 somewhere,
right? Always. And it's funny, the news it was at CBC. Oh, it's hilarious. There was an article that came out today saying 30%. I don't remember if it was 30% of Canadians or 30% of the people they spoke to, whatever it was, but they were saying 30% more whoever are smoking cannabis the first thing when they wake up since COVID.
Oh yeah.
And all people were like, oh my God, shocking, and some people were like, what, I'm doing that forever. And other people were like, well, of course, with all the isolation, people are turning to, so there was all kinds of different comments. And I was just like, I was reading this at 8 a.m. going, I used to wake and bake all the time. Now, not so much because I'm usually answering 5 hours of emails, before I have a chance to put it down and go smoke one. But traditionally, I would, wake up and the first thing I would do is smoke. And then I'd go work for 14 hours. So that's what I said in the comment. I was like, yeah, what? I'm about to go smoke. And then I'm about to go work a successful 17-hour workday. What? You just got to pick your strain.
I can't work after I smoke. I really like smoking and going like for super long bike rides and stuff like that.
You're more after and chill out and just like let your brain go when you
as soon as usually at the end of the event on the second day, that's when I'll like smoke weed with people, because otherwise I'm just like brain dead.
Yeah, one of my clients was telling me she was asked in mainstream media, not in cannabis media, about a funny story that happened since she started, and she said, "Well, in our industry, we traditionally at these events we smoke together. That's what we do, right?" And she's like, "And one time I think I smoked a little too much because after that I was kind of done for the day. I couldn't focus, so I'm going to try to she said." Plan better how much I smoke at these events. But it was funny because that is what we do, right? At all those cannabis events, you come out of the front and there's except for the one I was at in Malta, that was like disturbing because they came out and they were all just smoking cigars.
Yeah.
It was all like alcohol and cigars and no cannabis. So
yeah, the cannabis has been helpful to keep me off the booze too during this pandemic. It's like
right. It'll do it.
Don't hit the booze, hit the cannabis, and go for a bike ride. Yeah.
And what's your favorite method of consumption? Are you a joints guy, or are you happy 420? By the way, everybody.
Happy 420. Yeah. Awesome.
But are you a joints guy or a dab guy or edibles?
Yeah, joint for sure.
Yeah. If I could only have one, for sure. Like, yeah.
I also like those, like the bubbler pipe. It's like a mini water bong kind of thing.
Yeah. I don't have it here. I brought it upstairs to use it during my dental. But my friend Linda gave me a little rubber, like a PVC bong. Mm-hmm. Or it's a water pipe like this big. And it comes, and it's bright red, of course. And you can wear it. It's like 5 inches long, bright red. And you can wear it. It came with a thing to wear around your neck. So you're supposed to be walking around like as 420s, puffing on the bong.
Yeah.
Happy West Coast, Steve. And Steve was saying he lives just a half an hour from Aberdeen in a town called Arbroath.
Oh, cool.
Arbroath. And so Ron is saying happy 420 West Coast, Douglas. And somebody else, and again, the Facebook user, guys, is something to do with StreamYard. We see the comments on StreamYard, and it asks you to accept that your name be on or something, so we can't see who that is. But happy 420 West Coast. So, and do you have a favorite strain? Or some favorite strains?
Not really. Just anything.
No, you don't really have some go-to. Like, what do you pick on a menu?
I look at the terpenes, so I'm always interested in. I don't really like maraschino that much. Anything lemony and piney is kind of my jam. So I'm always looking for something that's either citrusy or smells like the forest.
Nice.
One of those, and that's what I need.
My husband always likes the old school, skunky smell. I'm like, half the time they're trying to breed that out. He's like, he only thinks it's good if you sniff that and it smells that's what he wants, that old,
Yeah.
So I don't know. The first time that I thought strains, were just like marketing, until I had I think Pink Kush was the first one that I tried a couple of times, and I saw that it was all. I was like, from different places. Like, oh, now I get it. That's I know what to actually expect from Pink Kush now when it's done right. But now it's.
Yeah, that's usually what I'm looking for. Occasionally, I'll have some indica, but that's pretty rare that I'm having that stuff. Yeah.
It's you're more because you want to go biking and stuff.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I smoke a strong indica, and I'm like
that.
Let me sit down and do 3 international business podcasts. And I shocked them. Something was so funny. And I'm just go. I'm talking business, nothing to do with cannabis, especially on these international ones. Blah blah blah. They're asking all these questions, business, whatever. And then at the end of one of them, he's like, "Okay, now I'm just going to ask a random question that I throw at people." And I think this was in England. It was somewhere where it's definitely not legal, right? And he's like, "What's one thing? What's one thing that you couldn't do without?" I'm like, "Well, not that I couldn't do without a thing. You're saying thing, not a person." And not that I couldn't do without it, but I wouldn't really want to. I'm like, cannabis. And he's like, this stuff, he's super impressed for half an hour without my question. You know what I mean? He's all with me. And then he was literally like, And then he's like, he literally said, well, I didn't expect you to say that. I'm like, this is Canada with 2 N's. So I like them throwing in a little, and the same thing, I did something similar in Australia where they're just starting to talk medical. Yeah. And we were talking about equality in the industry there in terms of, people of color and women and all that kind of stuff, and the boardrooms being, primarily white men and all that, percentage wise. And anyway, so when they ended up writing about it, they said she's talking about equality in the medical cannabis industry, and I was like, there was nowhere in that whole thing where I talked about medical cannabis. We were just talking about cannabis, but it's not palatable there to talk about cannabis. So medical cannabis is a little more acceptable. So they had to put that in there because otherwise they're afraid to even talk about it in their podcast.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's funny to see the differences, how quickly, that seems ridiculous after 2.5 years of legalization, and we're like, oh shoot, I forgot it's still so stigmatized.
Yeah, well, and that's also why the regulations were the way they were when it started, right? Because they couldn't say they couldn't say, hey, we're going to legalize cannabis and there's going to be like cool shops everywhere and you can just like go into a grower and talk to the grower and smell the weed and do all these things.
It was too much for the people who
Yeah,
had been
the
lied
people would
to
have
for
been
100
like,
years.
no, we're not doing that. That's
Yeah.
terrible. What about the children, right?
Yeah. So what are you hearing now in terms of what kind of changes might be in the pipeline?
Well, my favorite one, or the one I'm most excited about, is the farm gate one. So like that you can actually go to a micro grower and meet them and buy cannabis from them. I think that's the one that I'm really excited about, because then you don't have the issue of that cannabis sitting in a warehouse for months and months and months. You know you're getting fresh and it's going to be good.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Because I have
Which is
some
probably
companies
huge.
that,
Yeah, that's probably half the issue that people talk about with when the cannabis that they buy at the store isn't what they expect or what they traditionally are used to. It's probably just that grow process or that shelving or the shelving processor. Which, is one of the.
And it's very hit and miss. Like I have some companies that I love, and sometimes I just get super dry weed from them, and it's like it's just kind of how it goes, right?
Yeah,
right now.
But
Whereas
this might be changing.
When farm gate happens, you'll be able to go down to your local grower and get your cannabis, right? So
and is that nationwide?
I don't know if that's 100% done yet. I know it is coming, but I don't know when it's coming.
And it will be. But that's another interesting thing to watch for. So
again, who knows if it's going to be nationwide, because I know they've also allowed the provinces to
do their own
thing too, right? So
like look at Quebec, how restrictive it is there compared to everywhere else. I was so surprised. I was really shocked.
Yeah. I think out west though, like BC, Alberta, I think that's going to be great. Good. It's going to be awesome. Yeah.
So we only have about 10 more minutes. So what are some things you're you've already said some of the things you're most excited about in the industry, right? And also you've talked about some of the problems. So are there other things in the industry that you're concerned about that if you could wave a magic wand, you would change, or that you foresee changing over the next few years, or you'd like to see changes in?
No, not really.
It's all going the right.
I know it's all going to keep changing, right? It's going to get more and more relaxed, and they're going to figure out the problems, and right, like,
and hopefully even on a marketing level, those conversations about being able to talk about the product will be less, like what about the children? We can actually have those conversations.
Yeah, I think that the best thing, I mean, the thing that's really hurting the industry, and it's very hard to survive in the industry right now because you're not allowed to market at all. Like your marketing is basically none.
Yeah.
So you open up a cannabis shop, or you open up a grow shop, and you can't really tell anybody you exist.
Yeah, and how do you differentiate your product?
Instagram,
all
the most powerful. Yeah, all the most powerful social media like marketing tools of our time, we don't get to use. I mean, we got to use it when we started pre-legalization.
Yeah, that's another good point too. So there's the government restrictions, and then there's the social media restrictions, where even for things that are legal, like for example, cannabis consultants who are not selling product, but they are maybe doing an education thing around, they can't even, or a doctor, a seminar, you cannot. I've had people who were trying to do an HR seminar about how the new cannabis laws were going to affect the workplace, and those ads were banned from Facebook. So the whole, and that's why there's a mass. I mean, I know there's PAC, the people for cannabis, the PAC organization that I connected you with at one point, they're doing some work on trying to, and it's like just trying to bang down a door because social media doesn't care, but they're trying to bring awareness to that issue in terms of, if something is legal here, why should we not be able to speak about those legal things, right?
Well, and it has age gating built in. Like you can select what age you want to advertise to.
Exactly.
It's all built in, right? And the big thing is we need the US, we need Biden to go and legalize weed. That's what you need, right? because
exactly.
they're all American companies. Like Facebook needs to, follow the
Yeah,
federal law down there, and that's
yeah. Or
that
they
big
need,
fiasco
yeah,
was what made things lock down, right?
yeah,
When we
yeah.
had Zuckerberg at Supreme Court, right? So
So
yeah,
yeah, lots of fun. We all count on these platforms, but we have to find ways to utilize them or not.
yeah, yeah,
So okay,
yeah.
so yeah, we're coming to the end of our time. So give us again the rundown. So for individuals, especially people who have any interest in growing, that summit is coming up 1 month from now. It's a 3-day summit, $149, and you're in for all 3 days, all events, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Is there anything to do? And you've touched on some things that most of us didn't know about that we should know about in terms of growing this issue with the hops, affecting cannabis plants. That's a huge one. And I'm
Mhm.
sure there'll be a whole bunch of other things like that. So if people want to do a deep dive, that's not a lot of money, $149 to walk away, from that. So, and I am the publicist for
Sorry.
HEMPFEST, not just a random news interviewer. So I should mention that as we're talking advertorial here, not just editorial. But I've been involved with HEMPFEST for years. It's honestly awesome. I remember seeing the 2018 consumer events, and
Yeah.
this growing one and the quality control one. Those are really important initiatives too. So
Mhm.
especially the QC, we all complain about the quality. We all talk. So it's really good to know that there are conversations around how those what are their problems that
Yeah. Well,
address.
and a lot of another issue in the industry and an issue in the regulations as well is a lot of the people that are working in the government and working in the quality assurance and lab area of the industry, a lot of them are non-smokers, right?
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
non-consumers. They
And
don't.
so they're not, yeah, exactly. And because it's an illegal product for years, they
Mhm.
weren't exposed to it unless they were users. So there's this learning curve, right?
Yeah, so they just don't know the product in and out. So when they say, okay, well, we'll regulate it the same way we regulate booze,
Yeah.
and booze can sit on a shelf for years,
Yeah,
decades,
or exactly,
and it
or
doesn't
they'll say,
change,
"Yeah, that's a good
right?
point," or "Oh, it's okay, it's no big deal if we cut this crop a week early and save this time or that."
Yeah,
Oh, wait, no, that's actually really important, or
yeah,
whatever the deal is. Like I don't know if that's a specific thing, but whatever the things that master growers know that the rest of
hmm
us don't know, they're making decisions, potentially. So when they
yeah,
go here and they hear the experts and learn all this, then they can only come back with better processes and better product, and
yeah,
right.
yeah,
So.
yeah.
Thank you so much. Literally, we didn't just chat. We actually learned a bunch of things from this. There was some actually like some important takeaways here. So, and
Well,
we'll,
thank you
yeah.
very much for having me, and having me a second time because I missed the first time.
Yeah, no, not at all. That happens here. And it's not that apparently it wasn't the first time that kind of thing has happened. So, no big deal.
Yeah,
And then I had no internet. So, this is much better anyway. So this time I'm not cannabis free, even though I didn't smoke right now. I've got, THC in me over the last 3 days. So that's a
yeah.
good thing.
There you go.
Okay, so thanks so much, and we'll put all the the links and everything for the Growing Summit and Best and the and I keep on forgetting, is it CP? Say
C45.
whenever I'm
So
not looking at it, I bet
the
yes.
C45 stands for the bill that passed cannabis.
Okay, right. So
So
C. Oh, right.
C45
Yeah.
Summit. Yeah.
Okay, so C45 Summit, the Growing Summit, and hopefully HempFest is the consumer event later in the year. So check
Mhm.
out all those sites, bookmark them all, and again,
You
thank
can
you, Sacha.
you can
Oh,
see everything from hempfestcanada.com too. So
it's
like
all. Oh, there you go.
everything lives there, and then we also have the Hempfest Cup that's coming up. So that's part of the Hempfest Calgary event as well. But you don't have to be at the event to participate in the cup as well. So we're taking on growers and judges right now. So did I lose you there, Tracy? I think we lost Tracy. Anyhow, I don't know how to wrap up the 710 sesh, but thanks everybody for joining us. And hopefully we'll see you again next time. Okay. Bye, everybody.